Hello citizens and welcome back. How is everybody doing after last night? It's a bit of a bitter pill to take, isn't it, when you wake up this morning? But today we're going to try something different. It's a reaction to another channel, another video. This one's by the Football Terrace and their panel that they had on and what they think of City's performances against Real Madrid and of course in the Champions League as a whole and what they think of PEP. And make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button before we get started. And let me know if this is the kind of format you want to see me do. You know, maybe this starts off a new kind of series for us as we react to different channels, different videos. Just see what the world in general thinks of City and PEP. Now, before we get started, I will also say that there's going to be a lot of bitterness in this video from other fans. You know, Chelsea fans, Liverpool and United fans as well. You're going to have to expect it. You know, people like to see us suffer, like to see us lose. And of course, we take revelment in watching United get beat as well in Liverpool, so you know it's all a bit of banter, isn't it? But again, this is the Football Terrace. Make sure to go check out their video. The link is in the description below. Go watch it, go like it, go subscribe to them. I subscribe to them, I watch them daily. Let's go see what Terry and I think of City. Let's just jump in, shall we? See what they got to say.
We are asking a big question on today's show as to whether or not Pep Guardiola's time at Man City will be looked at as a failure if he doesn't win the Champions League. That's the overarching question. But I do want to touch.
Now, before we get into that as well, is Pep going to be considered a failure at City? In my opinion, I don't know what the panel are going to say. Well, I've got an idea of what they're going to say. I've not watched this video, but I've got a good guess. I don't think Pep is a failure. Yeah, he's not won the Champions League with us yet. And even if he goes on to not win the Champions League with us, is it a failure? Well, no, you got to look at his other achievements. You know, he has made English football better since he's been. Look at Liverpool. I don't think they would be at the same standard that they are now without City. And you look at how many points you need to win the Premier League. Now, we've raised the bar across the board. You need to be so consistent now. And, you know, you can't even drop points. You know, you lose one game in the season, you lose the league. You know, that's how competitive we've made it. And City've been a big part of that. So Pep hasn't been a failure as well, and you're getting rid of, you know, you're forgetting all his English accomplishments as well. Back-to-back league titles that said that we'd never do. You know, we won the domestic treble. And of course, Liverpool can go on to do that this season, but we were the first team to ever do that. You know, so, oh, and we were the first team to make 100 points as well. So, no, Pep is not a failure in my eyes.
On last night, because none of you currently on here were on last night's match reactions. That's a good new sort of group of people to speak to. What we saying about last night? Was it Man City bottling the situation, or was it more of a case of Real Madrid just showing their class?
I think
a bit of both. A bit of both, man.
Both.
Yeah, both. Go on, have hope. Go first.
Okay, cool. No, look, I mean, it's like, first of all, yes, it's City bottling because at 1-0, when Mahrez scored, like, you're like, boom, settle it out, play it out, keep hold of the ball, keep it going and everything. So you think that, yeah, like, so 72nd minute, when you're 1-0 up after dominating for so long, you should be able to see it out.
Now, what he says there is kind of true to an extent. I mean, when we were watching on the watch long, and we did have some people join us, of course, it got extremely busy once Real Madrid went 2-1 up and went into extra time. That's when all the Liverpool fans jumped in. But what he is saying is kind of true. Of course, we should have seen the game out of where we were. Once Mahrez scored that opener, you know, we should have been able to pass the ball around. But throughout the entire match, and to some extent the first leg as well at times, we didn't keep the ball well enough. You know, we didn't play like we normally do. Our passing was pretty poor. Our decision making was not on it. You know, and people were losing the ball quite often. You know, diagonals that players would normally control in the Premier League, they weren't controlling in this game. You know, so did we bottle it a little bit? Yeah, kind of. I can see where he's coming from with that. And yeah, we did to some extent bottle it. But, you know, it goes deeper than that, you know, because I think Real Madrid have this kind of love affair with the Champions League. And it's just one of those situations, you know, and it all just kind of made a perfect storm, didn't it, in the 90th minute, unfortunately for us.
But then I remember what Lynn said before, because she was like, that's je ne sais quoi. And it's that je ne sais quoi and that football heritage. Because, like,
I'm glad you remembered.
No, I know it's existed, but not to this extent. So I thought, okay, maybe they'll equalize, but the fact that they came back that's why it's a combination of, like, City, you messed up, but man, that's Real Madrid DNA is different because Rodrigo, the guy's like 2 years old, but like the guy's like 2-3 years old. He comes on and it's like, no. this is Real Madrid. Like that shirts, you see, different jerseys, they weigh different and so forth. Like if you wear like a Scunthorpe jersey, like there's nothing you're going to do with a Scunthorpe jersey. But when you're that Real Madrid jersey, you go up 6 levels. And Rodrigo was like, no, we're going to come back. So, but look, man, we have to get onto Pep. Like this exposure season, we have to expose this dude, man, because you can't have 3.5 trillion of oil money spend.
Right, so I think this is where the bitterness is coming on. Now, first off, to address the Real Madrid thing, like I said, Real Madrid have this kind of love affair with the Champions League, and, you know, we've seen it against them in previous years, and other teams have seen it against them. Chelsea saw it as well. You think Real Madrid are dead and buried, you give them half a chance, you switch off, and they score a few goals in quick succession. And last night was a perfect example. They scored, for me, it was poor defensively. Every 3 goals was poor defensively. The second one was a bit of luck. The player got a flick on, and Rodrigo knew nothing about it, really. He was powering ahead. He probably would have just missed that header, but it ended up going perfectly onto his head and then into the top corner, giving Ederson no chance. You know, and the third one was a stupid pen that Diaz gave away. You don't expect that from Diaz, for him to jump in like that, but he did, and it cost us. You know, so yeah, Real Madrid, you know, they shown their quality at the end, but throughout the entire time in the 2 legs, we were better than them. We should have beat them. There's not really no excuse for it. So yeah. And what he's about to get onto here, like, again, I'm not seeing it, but, you know, it's one of those things we're going to have to accept that people throw at us oil money. People talk about 400 billion oil money. We spend this, we spend that. You know, they forget, when City in the conversation, they forget how much everyone else has spent, you know. They forget how much United spend every season, the wages United spend. They forget how much Liverpool spend. They forget how much Chelsea spend. It's all about City and all about Pep when City fail to win something. And even when we win something, they always go on about this oil money that got us there, you know. It's very disrespectful to the players on the pitch. It's disrespectful to Pep and his coaching staff. And it's disrespectful to us fans, in my opinion. You know, because they're really taking away the achievements that these players have done, the hard work they do, and the performance level. It's not like the players are buying their way into these trophies. You know, they're playing their way into the trophies. You know, so I imagine it's about to spout some crap now. But we'll see.
Money upon money upon money, and you can't do it. Because remember, Pep, people say, okay, look, it's the players that messed up. They didn't put the chances away. In extra time, you know, they didn't have a striker on. You didn't have a striker.
Okay, so here he's going to spout about having a striker, and they Pep took him off before extra time. But, I mean, I imagine that he must know, and he's just, again, conveniently forgetting that we've not had a striker all season. We didn't really have a striker for 2-3 years when Aguero was there, because he was always injured, you know. So to say that we didn't have a striker in extra time, yeah, we didn't. And I said in the watch along at extra time, people were saying, oh, be positive, we can still win this. No, we couldn't. The defensive substitutions Pep had made, I mean, we'd already lost the game. There was no way we could get a goal in that extra time. And we didn't even create a chance, really. We did nothing. And, you know, that's not a failure at Pep. That's just a failure at the players at his disposal. So, yeah, it's one of those situations, you know. So we didn't have a striker, but we've not had a striker all season. We're still top of the Premier League, you know, for now.
And you've had several summers to get a striker, to get a finisher. But Pep wants everything to be about him. Pep is...
Now, again, he's talking about several summers to buy a striker, and conveniently forgetting that we did try and sign a striker last summer and it failed. And yeah, we spent too long chasing Kane, I suppose. You know, but maybe this scenario that we're in right now will mean that we go on, and regardless of what happens, we get Haaland, you know, absolutely regardless. So yeah, we can say that we've had a few seasons to get a striker, but we had Aguero, we had Jesus. Jesus was playing a striker. Jesus only swapped from a striker to a winger this season, which is convenient when Aguero left us. You know, so it's the perfect storm of situation that we've found ourselves in. I will say that I'm a bit critical of Pep not playing one of the youth team strikers, you know, whether that's the Lap or someone else. He's not really giving youth a chance. And again, it's because of the standard we've raised in the Premier League that you can't afford to drop points. And he knows dropping points means that we lose the Premier League. It's one of those situations that he can't afford to do that. You know, people already call him a fraud and things. So why play the youth team if you know you're going to get beat and then you're going to end up not winning the Premier League, and then people are complaining that you spent all this money and you're not winning again. So it's a no win-win situation really for us as a club, because no matter what we do, people are always going to criticize and people always see us wrong.
No, it's all about the system. It's my way or the highway. And he leaves nothing for individuals to really express themselves and get you out of a situation. So you're now going into extra time.
Now you can tell he's not a City fan and he only watches highlights, and he only watches the big games, Real Madrid, for instance, because saying Pep doesn't let players express themselves is entirely wrong as well. You look at the way Cancelo gets forward. You see Pep on the touchline always encouraging him. You see Foden play. You see Jesus play to some extent. He's got freedom up there on the pitch. He's got a bit of flair in him. Mahrez as well. Let's Mahrez just do his own thing. You look at our centre halves, the way they push up, the way they can run forward with the ball, pass it. And to say that we don't let players, or Pep doesn't let players create and doesn't let players express themselves is again entirely wrong. And he's got the blinkers on, I'm afraid.
And with no De Bruyne, no Mahrez, and having to rely on this whole team thing for you guys to say what's up. So yeah, I mean, for City, it's 6 years, man. 6 years. The amounts of money you've spent, and all you have to show for it is one UCL final, which is why the bottom line is that Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta, they gave Pep life. They gave him life.
We have had a lot of bad luck in them years. We've been knocked out on away goals. How many times? 3? Something like that. 4 maybe. Yeah, we should have beat Tottenham when we got beat by them, but, VAR let us down there. Because I thought as well one of the Tottenham goals should have been disallowed. And I will say in the first leg of that Tottenham tie, Pep's got this thing and there's no getting around it. Pep likes to express himself at the worst times, doesn't he? He likes to change things up. And that Tottenham tie is a perfect example. And I remember when it happened and how angry I was. What was that, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, whenever? Because in the first leg, he didn't play De Bruyne. Aguero missed the penalty, which cost us dearly in that tie as well. But he didn't play De Bruyne. He went for some fancy system instead. And we got beat 1-0 by them after Aguero missed that late penalty. And then next thing you know, at the Etihad, it was just goals galore in the first half. No one really took a hold of the situation. Against Liverpool in the Champions League, we got battered 3-0 by them in their ground. That tie was dead and buried. Again, a few errors. There's one by Edison as well that I see all the time on the highlights. And Monaco's a perfect example too. It was a tough tie, that one. And again, we went out on away goals. And it was because we couldn't control the game at our own ground. We're just letting goals in for fun. And again, Real Madrid this season, the home game, how did we not win that game by 3-4 goals? Yet we conceded 3 really poor ones. We let Vinicius Jr. run 60 yards without a challenge. I mean, again, people call it a world-class goal. He ran 60 yards without anyone near him. He didn't take anybody on. He didn't go past anyone. He went past Fernandinho on the halfway line, but Fernandinho should have just clattered him. So again, poor, and you look at the penalty. Why is his hand up to give that penalty away? Stupid goals we gave away, and again, last night, second leg, the goals, it's just switching off at the wrong time. It's just not having that bit of luck at the wrong time. It is what it is. But saying that it's 6 years of failure just because we've not won a Champions League, no. I mean, again, reaching, he's biased and he's looking for an agenda, unfortunately.
Look, we know how good a manager is. I want to ask you, Louis, and I don't mean this with any disrespect to Patrick, Colleen, or Igal, but your club haven't won Champions Leagues, and I want to ask someone who has, in terms of heritage and legacy in the English game. Is it a big thing that Pep hasn't won it yet? With the money that he spent and how good his team is domestically, is it something that will make his tenure a failure if he doesn't achieve it?
No, I see this one a lot as well. Pep's a failure for not winning the Champions League. Again, you're dismissing all the hard work in the domestic leagues. Personally, I'd rather have all this success in the domestic league and win one Champions League in 30 years or whatever it is. I don't really care too much about the Champions League. It's always switching and swapping and the politics involved. I'm not really a big fan of it. If Pep won the Champions League, would it cement his legacy? No, because all these same panelists would also say that he's only won it once and it's not good enough. That's the bottom line. Winning it once is never going to be good enough. Winning it twice is never going to be good enough. Winning it 5 times is never going to be good enough. They're always going to throw the money situation at us and say that we should be winning it every year. No, it doesn't. I don't think for City fans we're going to care that he doesn't win the Champions League. Other people are going to care, and in 10, 15 years after Pep's gone, we're not going to give a crap anyway, because we're going to remember him for his achievements domestically. So to me, it doesn't cement its legacy. If anything, it's just one of those elusive things, and it just makes it more sweeter when we finally do win it.
So it depends the way you look at it. I don't think you can say his time. You can't say his time at City has been a failure. because he's dominated England.
Now, did you see the guy on the bottom right who was talking earlier? He's right, though. This guy's right. He's got a bit more of a level head. It's not a failure. Look at his domestic achievements. Look at the way he's dominated. That Liverpool side is incredible, by the way. And they would have won the league how many years in a row if it wasn't for us? If it wasn't for City, Liverpool would have won so many more trophies. You know, we're playing at a time when probably City are probably the best team the Premier League has seen. Liverpool are probably the second best team the Premier League has ever seen. But it's very, very close. You know, and just because one team wins in Europe and one team doesn't take away the fact that these are two incredible teams that we're seeing at exactly the same time. But the one on the bottom right there in the panel, he wasn't happy about that, was it? As soon as he said it's not a failure, you know, and it just shows some people are quite, you know, biased and they have their agenda against certain clubs, and it's bitterness, isn't it? That's all it comes down to, just bitterness.
Created one of the best English teams we've ever seen.
That's what I was just saying. One of the best English teams we've ever seen, if not the best in the Premier League era. Yeah, United won on and won the treble. Arsenal, you know, the Invincibles. But look at the consistency. Look at the quality. Look at the points tally. Look at the goals. You can't deny it. It's one of the best teams created. And is that down to Pep? It's down to Pep. Is it down to money? Yeah, to some degree it is. But what team doesn't keep on winning without money? None. Look at United. Look at how much United spend, and they don't continue to win. They've not won anything in 5 years, and they've probably spent more than us in the last few years. Easily forgotten, though, isn't it, when City get beat?
But the way I think about it is, if we were in that room when he met with Sheikh Mansour before he took the job, likely he would have said, "Listen, win leagues in England, yeah, but we're doing that already. We want to dominate Europe." So in that sense, he has failed at his main objective thus far. So his time at City hasn't been a failure, because with the amount he's won, the points he's accumulated, the football he's played, I just don't think you can say it has been a failure. But he has failed at his main objective, and
is winning the Champions League the main objective for City? I guess all of us are going to say yes. You know, I kind of disagree with that a little bit. I guess the main objective is to, you know, when Pep came in, we weren't making semi-finals of the Champions League. We weren't really making quarterfinals. You know, we were, you know, for a few years we were getting, you know, knocked out in the second round and things like that. We weren't doing all that great. Yeah, we made the semi-final on the Pellegrini, and for me, we got beat by a pretty poor Real Madrid team in that one as well. 1-0, I think it was an aggregate, wasn't it? It was an own goal by Fernando, I think it was. So, yeah, I don't think winning the Champions League is his main objective, because, again, once you win it once, people are not going to think it's good enough. I think his main objective is to dominate England, which is what we've done. Dominate the English trophies, which we've done. Apart from the FA Cup, I think we've been a little bit disappointing there. You know, knocked out in the semi-final a few times. And I don't think Pep prioritised it this season ahead of the Champions League, and that's cost us a little bit. But you can't take away the hard work in the English league and what we've seen. And at the end of the day, in the future, when you talk about Premier League, which this is the thing I don't understand as well. When people go on about, oh, you know, you're upset that you've not won the Champions League, and I tell people that I'd rather win the Premier League. One of the reasons is because every single week, when you see Sky Sports, when you see BT or whatever, and you see the Premier League trophy, your team has that ribbon. You know, it has the ribbon colours of your team. So whenever we see it, which is daily in England, we don't see the Champions League trophy daily. We don't hear about the Champions League daily. We hear about the Premier League daily. We hear about the Premier League every single day. News about the Premier League every single day. Not the Champions League. Champions League is like one of those things that comes in and out. But every single day is Premier League, Premier League, Premier League. And when you see that trophy, your team's ribbons on, it makes you feel good knowing you're the champions, being called the champions. You know, you don't get that by winning the Champions League. Yeah, you get called the European champions. But look at what you're seeing on a daily basis. The Premier League, it's the English league. That's what you want to win. So, you know, I'd rather win that.
It's something that for me, I will always sit there and I'll be biased in this, and I'll always put Klopp over Pep.
At least he's honest. I will agree with him. At least he's just said he's honest. He's biased. I like this guy. He's maybe a Liverpool fan, which is unfortunate for some people, but he's honest about it. You know, and what he said there about always putting Klopp above Pep. In football, it's one of those situations, you know, are you Ronaldo, are you Messi? You don't swap. I don't know anyone who swapped their opinion. When you ask them who's the better team, people don't swap their opinions. Football is just one of those things. Once you get an idea of something, once you get an opinion, it doesn't change, regardless. You know, and we see it now with Sterling. I think we can all agree that Sterling needs to go. No matter what he does now, he needs to go. Because we've all got that opinion that he's not good enough. No?
Because it's my right. I've got to. And it is one thing that is very easy for us rival fans to kind of beat over their heads, be like, Klopp's done it and you haven't. But yeah, no, I kind of feel differently about the game. Like for me, City bottled it in the first leg.
Now, again, he's actually right there. We did bottle it in the first leg. And how many times have we said over the last week on this channel that the first leg cost us absolutely dearly? We should have won it by more goals. The defense was poor. And yeah, that's when we lost it. In the second leg, Grealish could have scored 2 goals right at the end, which would have obviously won us the game. If we'd taken just one of those chances, if it wasn't cleared off the line, people are forgetting that as well. You know, we would have been in the Champions League final, but we did bottle it in the first leg. Not the second leg, first leg.
Not the second leg. Like City played nigh on a perfect game in the second leg. They were pretty much perfect until literally the 90th minute. But in that first leg, they should have been 3 goals up, 4 goals up. And it's that difference where going into one goal away at the Bernabeu is difficult, and it's difficult for any team. That's why I would have been disappointed last week being a City fan, especially with what we know now. So listen, I think it's harsh to say that Pep bottled it, because I don't know. On the night, you can talk about recruitment and you can talk about needing a striker, but on the night, I don't know what he would have done differently. People have said take De Bruyne, like you shouldn't have taken De Bruyne off, but he wasn't playing well anyway. Like people are also saying he wasn't.
He did take De Bruyne off, and I could kind of see it at the time, you know, because he's right. He wasn't in the game. You know, the front 5 weren't in the game at all, really. It was more of a defensive game. We were slowing it down. And I said in the match reaction as well that when you break up play and when you slow the game down and you take your time over throw-ins and corners, you're also affecting your own momentum, not just the opposition. You're affecting your own. And City thrive and live on momentum. And we kind of gave that up to try and defend our lead. You know, so it's an interesting tactic because it really affected us. And yeah, De Bruyne wasn't in the game and he took him off. And again, immediately, it was Zinchenko and Gundogan who came on when De Bruyne went off, who got us that first goal, because Zinchenko gave it to Gundogan, who turned, gave it forward to Bernardo. He switched out right to Mahrez, who scored. So at the time, the substitution worked perfectly. You know, it might have been a more defensive one and more one to just keep the lead, but we actually got a goal from it. So again, right move by Pep.
Playing well. So on the night, I don't know what Pep could have done differently. I just think sometimes it is about experience. It is about being in those situations. It is about the shirt that you have on. And regardless of what they say, it is Liverpool. That is what Liverpool have over Man City at the moment. We've got the history of the club. We've got the heritage. Man City just don't. And I do think that it's kind of the intangibles that sometimes when we think about football, we don't really consider.
I don't think it comes down to the history of the club. You know, people talk about this. I mean, City have been around over 100 years as well. You know, we've got a history. Yeah, it's not as successful as some, but guess what? Most of the people alive now don't remember any of that history anyway. So it's just one of those situations. It's not down to history. It's not about anything. These players don't care about what the club were 100 years ago or 50 years ago, you know. They might say they do in interviews, but they don't. They just care about here and now and how they play. You know, we're creating our history right now. And that's one of the beautiful things about being a City fan right now. It's a shame, you know, we're not younger and we can be born into this era, but we're seeing City create their glory years now. We're seeing it. So it's nice to be a part of it rather than talking about something that happened 70 years ago when we won a trophy, you know. We're seeing it now, which is nice. So it's not about history, I don't think. I don't think it affects the players on the pitch right now.
Cole, Pat, what are you saying about this? In terms of the game, we'll move on to Pep's time at the club later.
Yeah.
In terms of the game in itself, I mean, people are saying there's nothing Pep did wrong last night. But is there an argument to say, but he's been here 6 years, by now he should have instilled a mentality that stops them from throwing these opportunities away? Because every single Champions League campaign feels like it ends in the same way, with them losing games nobody expects them to, consistently.
Yeah. I think he did.
I mean, that's a bit harsh. I think losing games unexpectedly. At the end of the day, people are treating this Real Madrid loss like we just lost to, I don't know, Burnley in the, you know, in the FA Cup 4th round or something daft like that, or even Wigan, you know. it's Real Madrid at the end of the day. They're the Spanish champions, and to say that, you know, we didn't expect to win this 3 years ago, just 3 years ago, we were the underdogs against Real Madrid. You know, we'd never beaten them. So look where we are now. That how fast football changes, and suddenly we're meant to be battering them 5-0. It's not the case. You know, we're away to Real Madrid, which no team likes to do, and we get beat by them with 3 goals in 5 minutes. It can happen, you know, and yeah, we might be the best team in the world, but it can still happen to you. You know, and people forget that other teams get beat as well by, you know, quick goals, or get beat 5-0 or 6-0 or something like that. And again, they're the Spanish champions. They've already won the Spanish league, so are Real Madrid the underdogs? I don't think so.
Do quite a bit wrong, to be fair, because Louis said he bottled the first leg and not the second. I think he bottled both, if you're being honest.
He's not being honest. We didn't bottle both. The second leg we did play exactly how Pep wanted to. Yeah, we didn't keep the ball as well, and some of the players weren't really in the game. But it was the first leg we lost it. We said that at the time 4-3 wasn't going to be good enough, and it wasn't.
They only went into the game with a 1-goal lead, which was criminal considering how well they played in the first game.
He's also just, you know, backtracked on what he just said. He's up quite faster.
And then, like HH has said, they're 1-0 up with 15 minutes to go. They get a crucial away goal. I know we don't do the whole away goal thing anymore, but you go to the Bernabeu, you completely shut up the crowd. All you had to do is see the game out. So Pep should have saw that game out. He didn't.
Everything Pep did was to see the game out. Everything he did, every change he did. You know, once we took that lead and Fernandinho came on, we tried to shut that game out. You know, so he's saying that Pep didn't do it, but Pep did everything probably right. Probably what everyone else would have done, which was put defensive changes in. Did I like that he did it? No. You know, we're not really one of those teams that brings defensive units on. You know, we don't try and play defensively. We try to play the way we did against Atletico Madrid, but Atletico Madrid don't have the pace or the quality up front that Real Madrid do. And I guess that's what cost us. You know, we got past one and not the other. It was just a step too far, you know, playing defensively. Pep tried to change it up again for the Champions League, and it didn't work out. You know, we'll get there eventually.
And then, yeah, the Real Madrid are just Real Madrid, and they got 2 goals, took the game to extra time. Sorry, they got 1 goal, didn't they? Took it to extra time and then got the... No, it's 2. They beat them 3-1 on the night, didn't they?
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying about Pep needing to like shut up shop after 15 minutes and see the game out. But what did he like? He brought on Fernandinho, which would kind of go to that. He brought on. I know Walker was injured, but once they kind of he took him off, put on Zinchenko. So like, what would you have done if you were Pep that would have seen that game out?
I mean, but Louis, it's what Patrick is saying, because Patrick is alluding to, as a manager, you have to have that plan A, plan B. So where Patrick is going to is, okay, we're now up 1-0. In training, we know that defensive setup.
100%.
So we now know how to shut up shop. So what Patrick is going to is that Pep is all about plan A, plan A, plan A.
Yeah.
If plan A doesn't work,
I just think this guy's got an agenda, to be honest with you. He's talking nonsense because, yeah, often we have seen City without a plan A, and that has cost us in the Champions League. Like I said, we're letting silly goals. We go toe-to-toe with teams, and defensively we're not sometimes as strong as we should be. But yesterday was a clear plan B. Against Atletico Madrid was a clear plan B. We played their tactics. You know, we slowed the game down. We did a bit of time wasting. We fell on the floor. We rolled around a little bit. We've never done that before, you know. Look at how many people hated us after the Atletico Madrid game because we played the Atletico Madrid way, you know. And in Real Madrid, he brought on defensive players. He brought on Fernandinho to see the game out. That was a plan B. What's he talking about? Pep made the changes for a plan B. You know, to say we didn't have that is bizarre because we went into extra time without a forward threat because of plan B, and plan B failed. Plan A worked. We swapped to plan B as plan A was still working. And it was plan B that cost us, not plan A.
Help. Because his whole thing is that if we fail, it's because we didn't execute plan A. But you have to have, you have your plan A, but your plan B is okay, men behind the ball, defense, and so forth. When you look at, because again, let's talk about Edison. You sent Joe Hart to Siberia because you're like, no, I want to have guys who are good with their feet. Edison, he's amazing with his feet, but this guy is a brick keeper. When last did Edison make a save? He probably made a save back in the freaking 1700s. Because, bro, let's be real. That goal that Rodrigo scored That was on Edison. Courtois may be like a freaking scarecrow, like footwork-wise, but he's a keeper. He's a keeper, and he makes critical saves. Like, guys, when last did Edison make a critical save? So that's on Pep for saying.
Do you know, this is a conversation I've had with my dad a few times about Edison, is that he's not really a goalkeeper, he's more of a centre midfielder, and I think we've all said it, we can all acknowledge that he's better with his feet than he is with his hands. But, I mean, realistically, what's he meant to do with any of them goals? You know, one's a penalty, one's a header that I think he's lucky with because it flicks off the player in front of him and then hits his head. You know, he didn't really know it was there, he just got lucky with it. And the other one, yeah, I mean, he was, what was he, like 5 yards out or something like that when he put it past him. It's just one of those situations. Other than that, what did Edison do wrong in that tie? I don't think he did anything wrong. You know, even the first leg goals weren't his fault. They were just stupid defensive mistakes. Yeah. And you talk about Courtois being a great goalkeeper. One of the greatest shot that came off the line and then the defender cleared it was because Courtois jumped out the way of the ball. You know, I think he expected the cross and he didn't cross it. So, you know, hindsight, eh? And yeah, maybe it's time for Joe Hart to move on. He didn't like him, but I mean, that was years ago. He's going back, what, 6 years? Jesus Christ. You know, look at the keepers we've had since then. I mean, bravo, let's not think about him.
No, I will value how good you are with distribution than actually being a proper keeper. And Edison was at fault for that Rodrigo first goal.
I agree. And I just say, sorry, I would just say, like, I get what you're saying with he needs the plan B, but if that plan B was to shut up shop, they didn't have a shot on target till the 90th minute. So on the whole, their plan worked, barring the last 5.
He's right. The plan worked. The plan worked all the way up until the 90th minute, and then it went to crap from there. That's where we lost it in the 90th minute. It wasn't that second leg. I mean, it went how it went. And we lost it in the 90th minute. That the players, for whatever reason, couldn't handle it. You know, whether it's pressure, concentration, or what. It's the 90th minute we lost the game.
And I know it's
the last 5 minutes is still part of the game. It's still part of the game. Come on, Louis. Come on, it's still part of the game.
All I'm saying is, everyone's saying that Pepper's bottled it and kind of all this stuff. And I get what you're saying. And listen, I've said it because it's funny to say, but I haven't seen anyone come up with something, a substitution, a tactical switch that would have prevented those goals or would have.
But I don't think it's about. It's not always tactical. Sorry, I'm going to go to Gal in a minute. It isn't always tactical. This is the point. It was about This wasn't about how good you were at football. This was about mentality, and they conceded that goal at the end. That wasn't the end of the world because they had a 2-goal lead still. All they had to do was be assertive, play their game. They didn't. They become compact and they shrunk. They're like a shrinking sphincter. They just, you know, like when people get scared, the arsehole closes up. That's what they did. They shrunk. They did this. And they went within themselves and they allowed, not just to the end of the 90 minutes, but then in the first 5 minutes of the extra time, they allowed this Real Madrid team who had, barring moments at the Etihad, in the whole game in Spain, were barely knocking on their door. Yes, they had some runs from Vinny, but every time he got into the box, his touch let him down or a tackle was made. They weren't in any real trouble. No shots on target until that first goal in nearly 90 minutes. They bottled it mentally. And I've been speaking, they've got a better.
Even if we did ball it mentally, even if the players did do that, that's not on Pep. You know, the players lost the game. Pep didn't lose the game. Pep did everything to win that game, and everything he did was right. You know, he doesn't make the players miss them chances. He doesn't make the defense do what they did. He doesn't make Diaz lunge in the extra time and give the penalty away. He doesn't do any of that. You know, the players he brought on should have saw the game out in them 6 minutes of injury time. You know, and I mean, I'm not going to get into the referee because I thought the referee was a joke. But Real Madrid shouldn't have had 11 players on the pitch either. Arguably, another referee, they could have had 9 players on the pitch because Modric probably should have been sent off for grabbing Laporte round the throat. Yeah, Laporte made a meal of it, but he probably shouldn't be on the pitch. And Casemiro, how he got away with them 2 challenges he made on Foden and De Bruyne is beyond me. He should have been off the pitch. So yeah, realistically, we should be in the final with a little bit easier than what we made it. But we're not. Is that a mental bottle? Maybe. Maybe it is.
Manager, better first 11, better squad. And they were done through mentality 2 games running. And for me, where I blame Pep is that in 6 years, you've got to fix that. Within 6 years. And also, he didn't take over a broken club. He didn't take over a team that were in the pits. He took over a team that was recently champions a year or so earlier, that had already had over $1 billion.
He did take over a broken club. If you look at that squad he took over, it was aging. You know, it had come to its end. It really had come to an end. And even when he took over, for the City fans that went to that welcome day for him when he was on the stage, he said we wouldn't win the league that first year. And he was right. That he said the team's not good enough. We won't win it that year, but we'll win it the next year. And we won it the next year. We got 100 points. He fixed it. Again, it shows problems. Look, we've got a left back missing because of his own life and his own problems, and rightly so. You know, I'm not going to say his name, but I don't want him back in the squad ever, and no one does. But we're missing the left back because of that. We're missing a striker because we failed to sign one, and Jesus doesn't want to play up front. And injuries have cost us at the back as well. It's just one of those situations, you know. Like I said, Pep did fix those problems, but unfortunately teams come to a cycle, you know, and Pep's never been this long at a football club before, and I guess that's one of the things he's got to learn, how to keep players motivated, how to keep players going and refresh. So yeah, and I think this Champions League loss will probably give the club a kick into spending a bit more money this summer, maybe going for 2 or 3 players rather than just Haaland.
£1 spent on its squad with world-class players like David Silva, Yaya Toure, Sergio Aguero, Vincent Kompany. He didn't take over.
Yeah, but all those players were aging. What's he going on about? It's not like they're still there. None of them players are still at the club. So what's he talking about?
A Roy Hodgson level Liverpool. He didn't take over like Arsenal after 15 years of not winning anything. He didn't take over Man United now in the situation we're in, where we hate nearly every single player at our club. There's holes in the stadium. He took over a brilliant club, being run well in a very good situation. Within 6 years, if you can't instill your team to see these games, this guy's been beaten by a Monaco full of kids. Yes, a very talented kids, Bernardo Silva.
That Monaco team was good. They were a really good team, and it was a good tie. You know, what was it, 5-5 on aggregate? It was a good tie. Wait, it might have been more than that. Didn't we score 5 at home? It was a good game anyway, and yeah, we got beat on away goals. The away goals cost us.
Fabinho, Mbappe, but beaten by kids. This guy got knocked out by Lyon.
The Lyon one was a little bit unforgivable, and that was because Pep tried to switch it again. What did he go back through or something daft like that? Pep, you know, that was on Pep. The Champions League, I will say, Pep's made some questionable decisions. The Chelsea loss, that's on Pep. The Lyon loss, that's on Pep. I don't think getting beat by Tottenham and Monaco on away goals can be constituted as Pep. Just unfortunate.
Lyon, like
we knocked them out as well. Tottenham knocked them out over 2
Tottenham,
legs without
Spurs,
Harry Kane.
Spursy.
Without Harry Kane.
Son, put some respect on Son's name. Put some respect on Son's name.
Yeah, Son is sick, but still.
Domestically, what City have done is impeccable. But you have to look at these things. Gal, sorry, you were going to say something, mate.
I honestly, this might be the boring answer, but I'm going to tell you guys this. The players bottled the first game. The players bottled the second game. But overall, this whole time period at Man City, it's on the manager. That is the answer. And when it comes down to it, Pep Guardiola has bottled it season in, season out. And the reason being, the level of quality. Terry, I completely disagree with you. This Real Madrid squad is not as bad as people make it seem. When it comes to depth,
they're old. No, they're quality, but they're old.
They have
as good as Man City.
And when it comes to mentality, you're spot on. They have the mentality where they did not switch off into the final minute. Pep Guardiola, he could have made changes, bro. Let's not lie. He forced Kyle Walker back early. He cost him Kyle Walker. Now he's gone for the next.
He was their man of the match.
He's gone for 2 to 4 weeks now. It could cost.
But it was worth the risk. Kyle Walker had to play. It was worth the risk.
Also,
Walker did have to play. I didn't see any other option. Who's he going to play right back? You know, he's probably going to play Cancelo right back, Zinchenko left back. And I don't think we would have held out as long. It went downhill when Walker went off the pitch. Walker was forced back, but he kind of had to be forced back. We're missing now for the Premier League, which is going to be an absolute blow to us. Because we could have done with him against, we got Newcastle next up, haven't we, on Sunday? We could have done with him with St. Maximan, and we're not going to have his pace to help us out there. We'll have to see if we can go on and keep the Premier League title.
He was their man of the match.
Also, Also, when it comes to the first leg, you've seen that you had the advantage going into this leg. You could have set up a way where once you got that goal, you shut up shop. He tried to shut up shop, but he didn't actually bring on a defender. He took away attackers, brought on midfielders. Yes, it worked slightly, but I personally believe once they got a goal down, they became very negative, and they just tried to hold.
We started playing the way we shouldn't have played. You know, whenever you ever seen City play negative, like you said, he's right. The defensive changes we made, we played in a way we're not used to. And you can see the players didn't like it. They weren't comfortable with it. And it really cost us because that change in system cost us 3 goals in 5 minutes. You know, and going into extra time, again, people told me in the watch along, oh, you got to be positive. You got to believe why you're not positive. We did nothing in that extra time, and I knew we'd do nothing because Fernandinho was not the answer to scoring a goal at the Bernabeu. He wasn't, unfortunately for us. Maybe Fernandinho 5 years ago could have, but not 37-year-old Fernandinho. 37-year-old Fernandinho sees a game out, he plays for 5 minutes, and he wins you a game by being defensive. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off.
Hold on to that final thing instead of playing the way they should usually play. They actually went away from their tactics, and it showed that they were more scared of the moment. Real Madrid, they were ready for that moment, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I never believed in this whole football heritage stuff. But as it shows, if your team, I never believed in it until
why?
recently.
What? Sorry, we can't touch over that. Why? Why don't you believe?
The reason why I didn't believe in it is because I honestly did think if a team has been there before as like players, then you should believe it. But as
I kind of agree with him there as well. Heritage is what I was saying. I don't think players care too much about heritage from 10, 15 years ago. Who gives a crap? A team won a competition 20 years ago. Who cares? What about the players here and now? Yeah, you know, you can argue that Real Madrid have been there more, even a lot more than us. I mean, you're looking at Real Madrid team. Didn't they win it like 4 years, 5 years in a row, the Champions League, just like 3 years ago, whatever it was. So, or 4 years ago. So, yeah, again, people are talking about us getting beat by a poor team. These are the champions of Spain. You know, Real Madrid, it's still probably the big powerhouses in Europe, bigger than anyone else. So is it a shock we got beat? No. Is it disappointing? Yes. It is disappointing. Did Pep fail? No, I don't think he did. I think the tactics he made were sound for 5 minutes. Unfortunately, those 5 minutes, the team played pretty poor. As they're changing system, they didn't get their head around it. And that's what cost us. So Pep for me is not a failure. You know what? Because I'm going to finish the video here, and I'm just going to finish by saying that the Pep isn't a failure. You know, a lot of these people have their agendas. You know, and they are disregarding the domestic competitions, which they shouldn't do. You know, these are the same people who were probably against the European Super League, and yet they're writing off what we've done in the English League like it's nothing, like it doesn't matter. You're wrong. The English League is the most important league, or the most important competition for every single one of these teams, including Liverpool, including United. The Premier League is the most important because that's the one you play in, week out. That's the one you hear about daily, and that's the one you're involved in daily. So, yeah, we want to win the Champions League. It's not happening again. But to call Pep a failure for it, no. I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Anyway, that's the video. I'm going to leave it there, but let me know what you thought about the new format. Let me know what you think, and make sure to go check out the Football Terrace on YouTube. I am subscribed to them. I do watch them. And yeah, a lot of conversations like this, you don't really get many City fans on it, and it can be a little bit bitter when City lose or when they win. But check them out anyway, and make sure to go give them a like and let them know I sent you there. Thank you very much. See you again.